All right, I'm here. I can't believe it. Here we are. Look at that. I'm back home again. I made the drive. Not too far off. I rolled in on time. I actually could have made like the hard 3 o'clock, but I do have some setup. And of course, my software needed a quick update. So I had about like 4 minutes to spare. And then my girlfriend lured me upstairs with the promise of kittens. Not what you think. And, but is what you think. And, just saying, kitties, maybe later. Somebody's saying more docks found. Are we talking about Mar-a-Lago dockages? Or because there's so much. There's so much. Yes, I'm trying to simmer. I'm desperately trying to simmer. So much going on. And in like, in a bunch of ways, I've just been kind of like I literally just drove in, got out of my car, ran into the house, and holy smokes. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to try and find this latest. I think some of the folks are, hold on. Where is it? Let's see. Try to catch not just Marla. Okay, so this is the idea that docks were had a storage facility. Yeah, okay, so let me look up. I'm going to try and find, because this was just happening as we came in. Hold on. Trump, just storage should give us whoops, I can spell storage. I've been driving. Give me a second. And I'm also a terrible typer person. Oh, man. It just gets better. It's getting better all the time. Better, better, better. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you items with classified markings found at Trump storage unit in Florida. That's right. Multiple crimes involved in hiding the fact that not only did they not properly store classified documents that he had no right to have at his rental property where people come and go all the time, and the security is absolute ass, as we now know by the fact that Kanye West could just wander Nick Fuentes in and have dinner with Trump. Never, all right, real quick, point of order, Mr. Chairman. If Kanye West or anybody with like the fame pass can get somebody at the actual dinner table with Trump, where the fuck else can all these people go? You know what I mean? They obviously, if there's no vetting to actually sit down with that fucker, what does it take just to wander around the property? I don't know. I guess we're going to have to ask Anna de Rothschild. Now, items, here we go. We just have to look at this big so you guys can see it. Items with classified markings found at Trump storage unit in Florida. The former president's lawyers have told federal authorities no classified material was found in additional searches of Trump Tower in New York and his golf club in Bedminster. I think we should just believe them, right? I mean, it's not like they said that multiple times about fucking Mar-a-Lago. Also, is that because they knew they might get searched and they moved that shit to a storage facility? Oh my God. Facility? My voice is a little tired from last night. You'll have to excuse me. Dump trawler right there. Look at that with all the barricades to prevent terrorism in the form of people yelling, "You suck," at the building. Lawyers for Donald Trump found at least 2 items marked classified after an outside team hired by Trump searched a storage unit in West Palm Beach, Florida, used by the former president, according to people familiar with the matter. Those items were immediately turned over to the FBI, according to those people who, like others, spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive matters. The search was one of the at least 3 searches for classified materials conducted by an outside team at Trump properties in recent weeks, after Trump's legal team was pressed by a federal judge to attest that it had fully complied with a May grand jury subpoena to turn over all materials bearing classified markings, according to people familiar with the matter. So the judge said, you checked? And they said, yes, we checked. And they said, check again. And so they had their own people check, which I don't know why any of us have any discomfort around this. I buy it. Come on now. Who wouldn't think that, besides... Exhuming Ivana is out of the question. All right, so there has been a lengthy and fierce battle between Trump's attorneys and Justice Department and Washington federal court in recent weeks, according to people familiar with the matter. Much of the legal wrangling remains under seal by a federal judge, but people familiar with the matter say the Justice Department has raised concerns about what prosecutors view as a long-standing failure to fully comply with the May subpoena by Trump's team. Oh, you mean the one that they totally blew off and lied about and moved stuff around after they'd been subpoenaed while declaring that Hillary Clinton bleach bit phones after she left office when she was supposed to? Emails released by General Services Administration, which assists former presidents during their transition to private life, show that the government agency helped rent the storage facility at a private facility in West Palm Beach on July 21st, 2021. Total great security. So good. We had a Secret Service guy and a friend of Kash Patel's stationed in front of it, like in folding chairs. Never took their eye off the place except to doze off and do blow. The unit was needed to store items that had been held at an office in Northern Virginia used by Trump staffers in the months just after he left office. Those fuckers, his own staff. Hilarious. By the way, you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. Support the show in any way you can. And if you can't, relax and enjoy the show. We're going to go back in time today. Back in time. Because I wasn't able to be with you yesterday when certain news things broke. And there was some joy in watching said moments. And you're right. My hair does look spectacular today. It's good. It's one of those things where I had a couple of days where I didn't have to have it in a ponytail, and then I did a live band show last night, so I got to treat it like, you know, I got to use hairspray is what I was going to. That's really what it was. Just it's like hair metal days. It was back to that. Just back. I fell back into my old instinct from the late '80s, early '90s. Okay, so look at that. You don't need to be a spy to break the Espionage Act. There you go. The emails show that the GSA and Trump staffers worked together to arrange to ship several pallets of boxes and other items weighing more than 3,000 pounds from Northern Virginia to Florida storage unit in September 2021. A person familiar with the matter said the storage unit had a mix of boxes, gifts, suits, clothes, among other things. It was suits and swords and wrestling belts and all sorts of things. This person, it's all the stuff for the Trump a museum of awesome. Because you know this fucker's not going to have a library. Like, he's only going to call it a library because other presidents have libraries and he's supposed to have a library. But Trump gets a hive anytime he gets near a real library. The Trump library is just going to be most presidential libraries are a storage place for the documents that happened, and then there is a display of items. The opposite will be true of Trump's place. It will all just be a giant display of items, and then if you want to see anything about what happened, just go look it up. Do it on the government's dime. We're not storing anything here. We're not paying for that shit. There was no cataloging of what was put in the storage unit. Of course not. But we'll take their word for it. But why would we? Okay. Just as there was no cataloging of what classified documents were taken to a room underneath Mar-a-Lago. That's a great way to put it. A room underneath Mar-a-Lago. In the dungeon at Mar-a-Lago. Hey, QAnon. Why aren't you Where's your Pizzagate now? See? I mean, it doesn't, like Comet Ping Pong, that pizza place that was supposed to be the part of Pizzagate, doesn't actually have a basement. Mar-a-Lago does, and it was full of God knows what. The guy did hang around with Jeffrey Epstein. That doesn't bother you? I guess not. Okay, so the Washington Post could not immediately determine specifically what was in the items marked classified, but that's true of everyone involved with the Trump campaign and presidency. A Justice Department spokesman declined to comment because that's their job. The FBI did not immediately respond to a request for comment because that's their job. Yeah. But its president indicates Mar-a-Lago was not the only place where Trump kept classified material. Also, there is no fucking way that a judge that the DOJ can't go to a judge and go, look, we found, they said multiple times they had no more classified documents. We gave them every opportunity. And they ultimately had more shit. And when we went in there, you gave us a search warrant. We looked. We found a ton of stuff and a bunch of stuff, folders marked classified with the contents missing. Where the fuck is that stuff? And we even gave them another opportunity to go look. Check again. Draw it again. Draw it again. And they went and checked it out, and they came back and said there's nothing there. So, Your Honor, if past is prologue, we don't buy their bullshit. Yeah. Andre Durkash, charged with money laundering and other nefariousness. Suck it, Rudy. It's just so good. It's just so good. All right. By the way, twitch.tv/HalSparks. Subscribe today. Help us out, won't you? Also, there's a Venmo over there. Oh, my hand disappeared. There's a Venmo over there. Not in Trump's golf club in Bedminster. All right. So, in addition to the storage unit, a team hired an outside company to carry out the search of Trump's golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, and more recently, Trump Tower, New York. According to people familiar with the matter, the outside team also searched at least one other property. A team offered the FBI the opportunity to observe the search, but the offer was declined, the people said. It would be unusual for federal agents to monitor a search of someone's property conducted by anyone other than another law enforcement agency. Right. Because it would be a fucking magic trick. We showed them. There was nothing there when we showed them. Yeah, because while you were showing them this, other guys were shuffling shit out the back door, dummy. It's not how it works. Believe me, we're watching. Trump's lawyers have told the Justice Department that the outside team did not turn up any new classified information during their search of Bedminster and Trump Tower. No word on top secret or above top secret or human, but definitely no classified, no new classified stuff. It's just copies of other shit. Again, did not turn up any new classified information. I mean, that literally could mean that they have copies of everything. Right? Oh, we didn't have any new classified stuff. That's just the old stuff. That's the stuff you took back. Yeah, we just made copies of it upon copies upon copies. We have them in little saleable binders. Like we sell it like Intel timeshares. President Trump and his counsel continue to be cooperative and transparent. Yeah, just like they always have been, where they lied multiple times. Accusing the Justice Department of committing an unprecedented and unwarranted attack. Well, that's funny because they actually got a warrant. Bad choice of words. And by the way, this is not unprecedented because Mar-a-Lago now set the precedent. If you want to, I don't want to be too specific. Anyways, so hilarious. More to come, no doubt. But in the meantime, hold on. Can we just go in the Wayback Machine temporarily? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Bill. Good old Hammerschmidt. The Justin Hammer of Bill Hemmers. This is, I think, the moment when Fox News calls the race for Raphael Warnock. And I have been avoiding watching this just so that we can share it together. I'm thinking about even doing a segment of stuff that old clips that they had posted and other places have posted about shit that I was right about and they were horribly wrong about, and we get to look back on their premonitions about what was going to happen or their assessment of the current state of affairs economically with Ukraine, with the United States, with China, and all that kind of stuff, and just look at just how ignorant and full of shit they were at the same time. Oh, and by the way, one of the reasons why they love these kind of maps is that the red sections and the blue sections are the color is intense no matter what the population. If you look at this map, it's actually a much better population map than it is a map of the balance of voters in a state, because the red areas, like you could argue that the blue areas are where all the people are, and the red areas are where there are very few people by comparison. Balance to balance, like I mean, it's not as bad as the imbalance in Arizona or New Mexico, but it's pretty goddamn close in most southern states. Large swaths of land, large, lots of counties, because they love making counties, with very few people in them. Districts, these are all, by the way, insofar as I know, they have a district map and a county map. Hard to tell which one they're using at any given time. But let's watch them. Can we watch it together? Can we share this moment? These are these magic moments. Okay, and wait, I have to.
Right now, the Associated Press has just given the check mark to Raphael Warnock.
It's just he got that. He got it in his ear, and he had to tell him. He had to admit to it, and it's quiet. So I'm going to bring it up a little bit. There you go.
He's going back to the U.S. Senate as the winner of this runoff against Herschel Walker, right now at 50.4% to Walker's 49.6%. Raphael Warnock has won the runoff in Georgia 4 weeks after we held the midterms in 2022, which in effect, Laura, gives you the balance of power now in the Senate.
Ouch!
Democrats at 51.
Sorry, I have to.
Republicans at 49.
Sorry, can you say that again real quick? Let me just, if I may. Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Democrats at 51. Republicans at 49.
Right.
Majority's 51, and that's for the Democrats.
Okay.
Republicans at 49.
Okay, thanks.
Democrats at 51. Republicans at 49. Majority's 51, and that's where the Democrats have reached. This means essentially that Kamala Harris will not have to break any tie-breaking votes.
Right, which is what I said, by the way. Like, this is what Republicans, this is what we fought all night to get back to. Our turf, our little piece of turf. Yeah, they were fighting just so that Kamala Harris wouldn't have to get in a car, go over to the Capitol, and go, go back to whatever the fuck she was doing.
This means, in effect, that on the committee votes, when you have legislation that's on the margins, Democrats and Joe Biden will have a slight edge after this victory tonight.
And shit could get locked up in committee with 2 people against it.
Bill Hammer, I'd like to say this is surprising, but it's not.
No, it isn't. Because, Laura Ingraham, because you suck. Because your network sucks, and the party you support sucks, and your candidate sucked, and you sucked. And it just sucked. The whole thing sucks.
This is what we expected, and look, the Senate Democrats, I would argue, did a much better job. And
well, they had help. Hi. There was some of us out there that were carrying the torch and telling everybody it was going to work out this way and raising spirits and getting people motivated while the leader of your asshole party, whatever you want to call it right now, I don't even know if you would call it a political party, but with the remnants, the ashes, the giblets of whatever's left over, the Republican Party was telling everyone not to vote. While the rest of us were telling everybody to, kind of, I don't know, give a shit. It's a novel approach.
They got the early vote out, and Brian Kemp gave his list and did a late night kind of video call, but
yeah, which was killer. And the commitment was amazing. You could tell he felt it, and he's never been more excited to back a candidate than Herschel Walker.
I mean, you got to have the operation in effect, as always. Guys, we appreciate it. Bill, stay.
Yeah, Bill, just thanks, man, for nothing, you fuck. Ugh. Stay there, though. You're our poor man's Kornacki. How does it feel? How does it feel to be a bad photostat of Steve Kornacki?
Stay with us. All right, we have more.
Thank God.
All right, we're not going to more. We got to
go. Please let me go to break. Please let me go to break. Son of a bitch.
Molly Hemingway. Sorry, I have a whole script in front of me. Molly Hemingway and, of course, Kellyanne Conway. Molly, You and I talked about this.
Everyone's smiling. We're all smiling. And we're all in muted fall colors. We're dressed as the dying leaves of the trees as America's fall goes into dark winter of democracy, which is the worst thing. And I would be here dressed as a pumpkin, but there's a rule at Fox.
It's about a week ago.
Oh God. You can't spring Laura Ingraham on me.
We felt this coming.
Don't. Stop it. These people are in mourning. I'm not.
To me, it never felt like the Senate Republicans wanted this guy in office.
Weird. I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why every Republican in the Senate, bar none, wouldn't look at Herschel Walker and go, yeah, he represents the finest conservative minds. Screw the House, screw local office, screw governorships and lieutenant governors and comptrollers and mayors. No, get this man in the highest body next to the presidency. And you're telling me that they weren't like that the Republicans in the Senate weren't going, yeah, I understand him. He understands me.
He was a Trump pick. They didn't like that.
Yeah, it was because he was a Trump pick, not because he was an asshole.
Probably like him as a person, Herschel as a person. But there wasn't the intensity on the part of the Republicans as there was on the part of the Democrats. I felt it, you felt it. But we don't change anything. We have the same people in place in leadership, same people in place apparently at the RNC. Perhaps that's not changing.
Nope.
We just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I'm pissed tonight, frankly. Go ahead.
Go ahead. That's just magnificent. That's gorgeous. That's fantastic. Can we watch that again? This is.
Perhaps that's not changing.
No, and by the way, it isn't.
We just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I'm pissed tonight, frankly. Go.
It's just so good. And people wonder why I was like, I didn't even have to watch the fucking race last night. I had people coming up to me at the Jam last night between sound check and the show and going, Walker pulled ahead in this newest vote. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Warnock's going to win. Go sit down. Have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. And they was like, but don't trust me. And then she even, I think, said, why does it take so long to count the Democratic counties? Because they're the ones with all the fucking people, dumbass. Hi, Somewhere in Time. Welcome. That's so fun.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's really offensive.
I'm mad.
For Republican voters.
Yeah, it's so offensive. And by the way, the fuck your feelings crowd is feeling fucked right in the feelings right now, and it is not nice.
Republican donors who have put so much into having.
Not as much as Democratic donors, but in all fairness, a bunch of them bought Tesla stock. So, ooh.
Some wins, and they just see kind of failure across the board.
Yeah. And that bothers them. Why? How is that not the standard? You do realize that you guys elected Donald Trump, the world's greatest fuck up, the only man who wasn't knocked off in office. I would argue Kennedy and Garfield and Lincoln would like a word, that didn't make their life worse by becoming president.
There aren't people who are working on early voting or banking ballots. There's no clear messaging. I mean, you look at what happened since the midterm election.
Wait a minute. What do you mean no clear messaging? It was vampires versus werewolves, okay? If you want to see a kid's film, you rent a neighbor's kid. Have a bunch of abortions and be against them, because it's not like you're going to jail. What was unclear about the message? I think voters got the message, don't you?
where you had a Senate that basically responded to those disappointing midterm losses by doing nothing other than sabotaging their own base. What is the case for voting Republican for the Senate after these midterms?
I agree. Yeah, I think, as a matter of fact, if I was anti-voting like a lot of these fuckers are, I would say just, I'd just give it up. I wouldn't even bother again. However, I'm not, and I fear that when people stop voting, they start doing other shit to get their political will. So I'm for people who I'm against voting so that they can get their political feelings off their chest, win or lose, on a fair playing field with the rest of humanity, as opposed to checking out of voting altogether and deciding that they can solve it with Second Amendment solutions and bullshit like that.
I don't think one was even attempted to be made.
No, I mean, have you looked at the Republican Party? They're awful, just awful.
And yeah, nothing seems to be changing. But you
No, it's not going to. I think you should revive the Whig Party.
didn't see a lot of enthusiasm down there. Of course, the
Enthusiasms.
spending was completely
3-1.
It was just.
Look at how close it was, though. I mean, in the end, what did we say? This was winnable, Kellyanne. I know you don't want any change. You want Ronna McDaniel. I like Ronna McDaniel. Isn't this like a warning sign flashing, or we just?
I like her. You like her, but she's a fucking moron. I mean, obviously, you and I have terrible judgment.
Just going to keep doing the same thing all over again every single election.
Oh, come for the defense. And by the way, I've got to say, of all the people who are getting filler these days, I got to say, Kellyanne Conway has got everybody on Fox should go to her esthetician, not Kimberly Guilfoyle's.
Well,
Kevin McCarthy won the House. He won the House.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. Redistricting won the House, dipshit.
Yes, he did.
And you're not going to hold it.
We were outspent 3-1 here.
Why?
There's no excuse.
Because it was going to be a loser from the beginning. Because they could see this coming a fucking mile away.
There's no excuse in Georgia for us not to have done what Brian Kemp did. Yes, he's the incumbent governor. He's very popular. He's running against Stacey Abrams.
And anybody who voted for Kemp was giving a middle finger to Trump, and Walker was Trump's candidate. And so you see the rub.
But he turned out over his micro-targeting plan, his grassroots people, and I guess Mitch McConnell's group funded it. But they did that in the last couple of days.
He funded it?
What weeks ago.
Did Mitch McConnell appear down?
Well, they spent what they did on him, but they also knew it was a loser. And none of them fucking wanted him. He's a dumbass. He's completely unqualified. It's fucking embarrassing. As a matter of fact, the Senate Republicans more than likely actively were praying that Walker didn't get in the Senate. Because as dumb as he has been on the trail, can you fucking well imagine what he would be like in the well of the Senate giving speeches or offering up amendments, for fuck's sake? I guarantee the Republicans were like, all right, fuck this. No. All right, we'll let it be close because we don't want to undermine the voting bloc. But shit, just spend enough money to get him within swinging distance. But ugh.
We could have won that seat outright 4 weeks ago.
No, you couldn't. And again, the only reason he got close in that one was because of the fuck you vote for Kemp.
We wouldn't even had to have a runoff. Herschel Walker could have won. I think he was one of the most improved candidates of the cycle.
Most improved. Jesus Christ. What was the standard when he started? In the beginning, he was walking around eating paste. At least we got him to just talking about vampires, werewolves, and renting kids.
He had some duds of candidates this time. He was out there working hard, but we need to...
Yeah, well, as opposed to working smart.
Not just compete for votes, for ballots. We need to compete for ballots. If we don't bank ballots early, we're going to keep...
This sounds if Mike Pillow was here, he would be very upset with this whole conversation. We have to get rid of the machines.
But we didn't.
But we didn't.
But we didn't do it in 2020 because everyone said don't vote early because that's corrupt.
Oh.
Not everyone.
Yeah. not everyone, just the fucking president.
Well,
Yes, sir.
a lot of people
name
did.
Yeah. A lot of people on her network and everybody on Newsmax and RAV and OAN and fucking Steve Bannon and Roger Stone and like every hardcore Republican activist and Mike fucking Pillow was saying, don't fucking vote early. Go on the day so you can really vote.
At the very top of the Republican Party.
People did.
But Molly,
And
Mitch McConnell did
we
give
need to do
11 million to the effort. That's 14 million to the effort in Georgia. But where was the all hands on deck? You got Lindsey Graham. He was there.
Arguably doing more damage than good.
He did a lot.
Every senator
Yes, he did.
should have been there. Every female senator should have been
But
there.
why?
Wait a minute. Every female senator should have been there defending the dude who held a gun to his ex's head, who played Russian roulette, who has a bunch of fucking kids he's never met, and that all the while screaming at black fathers to be more in their kids' lives and being holier than thou about that, and then like cajoling women into abortions and then trying to outlaw it forever. And so the Republican women had a job to do. Throw yourself in front of the Herschel Walker tour bus.
I'm going to ask the question tonight. Nobody wants to talk about this. Why weren't they down there?
Because he's an idiot and a terrible candidate, and none of them wanted to serve next to him. And they, in their own minds, they dodged a political bullet. I mean, you can't win them all, and better luck next time, because fuck that dude. And ultimately, they weren't going to put it all on the fucking line and line themselves up next to that shithead when it didn't matter. It's one vote per committee.
Molly.
I think that if they had needed this seat to have a majority in the Senate, you actually would have seen the establishment in D.C. caring a little bit about it. They obviously didn't care about it once it wouldn't have mattered there. But also there's an issue of...
Yeah, again, isn't it up to the voters of fucking Georgia?
People talk about giving money to different races. We're very good...
She means Senate races and congressional races, not... Never mind. I just have to clarify that because it is... Fox.
Seeing how money can go around to different people. The Republican Party gives money to consultants. They need to care more about winning and less about the means by which races are run. Regardless of who takes over the RNC or regardless if Ronna continues, there need to be massive systematic changes.
Totally. I think they should all, I revive the Whig Party, or they should split. Anybody, like, there should be a MAGA party, and then some should join the Forward Party, and others should try to retain the name, like Republicans, kind of like Jack Russell's Great White or Stephen Piercy's Rat Experience. You know what I mean?
To the whole way that races are being handled, the consultants who are running them.
Well, the consultants who get paid
for decades,
and paid
regardless
and
of
paid.
outcome.
Why are we paying these people to tell us that we're doing it wrong, and we don't listen to them, and we just do it the fuck anyways, and then blame them after the fact? Because I guarantee you, all the consultants were like, dude's a fucking goner. This is just bullshit. Like, you can get him within a distance, but the motivation's on the other side. It's not going to fucking happen.
Regardless of outcome, they do.
Pollsters,
It's called
lobbyists.
What do you mean, regardless of outcome, they do? Trump lost in 2020, and you were having him pick fucking candidates. What are you talking about? Like, the consultants are the fucking problem?
Consultants. These people are the only growth industry left in Washington, D.C., frankly.
Well, I like to say, I've been talking about this for years. They're walking, I put it in my
By the way, that's what she does.
book. They're walking RICO violation, staph infection. Candidates often lose, consultants always win. And they're nameless, by the way. Most of the consultants who make the most money and have for decades, Laura, the losing Romney race was $1 billion. And they're all still
strategies.
around.
Those are some.
They're still around.
Yeah, but he came within a squeaker. The Republicans had completely fucked every opportunity to run a decent candidate. It wasn't the consultants' fault that their own party turned against Romney.
People.
But guess what? Nobody even knows who they are. In other words, the average donor, average Laura Ingraham viewer right now can't name those people.
Why would we? Who gives a rat fuck who the consultants were? Isn't it the candidate and I guess their chief of staff or, their main staff, isn't it their job to vet what the consultants are saying them and either take that advice or go against it? The reason you don't know is because they would also have to come out and go, well, I gave him some advice and it was pick somebody else. And he didn't listen to me. That's why they're all nameless. Because the minute you name them, then you call onto the carpet what parts of their advice was bad or good. And every consultant would come out and write a fucking book about, here's all the shit I told John McCain about Sarah Palin, and he told me to go pound sand. And here's all the shit that, Romney was insistent, that we not run from the binders full of women shit. It was his idea to actually have a binder of the women that he's vetting to be in his cabinet and be his potential VP, and for fuck's sake. Right? That's why you don't hear about them. Because the minute you hear about them, they get a chance to defend themselves. It's as much in the candidate's interest as it is in the people who talk to them. And still, ultimately, no matter what your consultants fucking say, it's on you. Where's the responsibility? Where's the idea that the Republicans, they're always decrying is like leadership and finally somebody who isn't handled by the chattering class and the elites and the insiders and the beltway and blah, blah, blah. And Trump's supposed to be this fucking dude. And he's the one actually consulting these people. He's the one telling them, don't apologize. If you're shitting your pants, keep shitting. Right? Fucking hell.
The way they can name Molly.
Maybe they should be named.
But by the way,
yes, name and shame them. I love that idea. Here's a good idea. Laura Ingraham, go on your show and name the top 5 losing consultants on the Republican side for the last 6 cycles. Do it. There's no fucking way they would do this. Never.
Way they are nameless, but they are not blameless. and
who gives a shit? The consultants don't vote. The consultants don't make the decisions. The candidate does. If you got bad advice, you paid for that bad advice. And if you hired people who failed multiple times, why the fuck is it their fault? I don't even understand the argument here. Jesus Christ.
Republicans hire them. These people have been recycled from campaign to campaign to campaign, but there's no accountability.
But they're going to blame Herschel Walker tonight. They're going to blame Donald.
Wait a minute. Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity have been, guiding voices for the Republican side through these last 6 cycles especially, and they've screwed the pooch multiple times. Why isn't it Laura Ingraham's fault? She's nameless and not blameless. They're the ones crafting the message that often trickles down and the candidate uses. So, specifically, Sean Hannity had a fucking direct line. Sean Hannity is one of the consultants. And by the way, Hannity at one point was giving Trump advice on January 6th anyways, in the text that we saw, that was, at the very least, on a base level, sane and recognized the threat that this fucker was under and was like, this, you're destroying your legacy. You gotta do something. And what did Trump do? He fucking ignored him. So does Laura Ingraham name and shame Sean Hannity for being somebody, chattering in Trump's ear for all the losses that have been caused by Trump being a fucking lunatic since he lost? Because he's taking advice from Sean Hannity. Or I retract that. I would say he's not taking the advice. He's just hearing the advice. At some point, it's on the fucking candidate.
Trump, and I just want some facts laid out here. I know Mitch McConnell early on said he wanted David Perdue or Kelly Loeffler to run against Raphael Warnock.
Doug Collins would have been a
They said that.
Shit, Laura agrees.
From the beginning. But Mitch McConnell endorsed Herschel a long time ago. This didn't happen yesterday. Everybody said they were all in, but we didn't see all the senators there. Where were the other 49 Republican senators?
I don't believe it's just because it's 49-51.
Well, I
that
don't believe
vote
that either.
mattered.
Nobody wants Kamala Harris to break
That
ties.
vote
The only
mattered,
thing
Molly.
she ever does is break ties. It's the only progress she's ever made.
But
That
again,
doesn't even matter.
It does matter. And the word progress is, I think, the tell.
This is Georgia. We should be winning Georgia.
We're about to see a cram down of this omnibus bill, perhaps, meaning the Senate leadership would rather work with Schumer than have a chance to work with Kevin McCarthy in the new year.
A chance? Dude, she doesn't even know Kevin McCarthy's got the fucking job. Oh, it's so good.
That speaks volumes, Molly. I know you guys have written about it over at the Federalist.
Well, and talking again about the role that Mitch McConnell plays here. Mitch McConnell loved those candidates 2 years ago. They also lost. And
so did the Colorado nominee.
We have an issue where the Republican Party needs to think about how it's winning elections.
No. I think the Republican Party has to think about how it's losing elections. You don't really have to think about when you're winning. You just more of that, I suppose. Oh, it's so good.
And it is not thinking about that at all. And it talks about candidate quality. Mitch McConnell sabotaged Republican candidates and the voters who picked them by saying that the candidates were bad.
Are you fucking kidding me? Herschel Walker is an imbecile. He's gross. He's too cute by half about violent shit in his past. His own son came out and went, fuck this dude. Every time he turned around, he had another kid he'd never met. What the fuck is wrong with you? And the thing is, it'd be one thing if he had a kid he didn't know and he was like, oh my God, what an enormous gift and what a loss of time I didn't get to spend with this child. I wish I had known this child was mine earlier. I did not know that kind of, and I look forward to the time I get to spend, and I want to make up for lost time. And I don't necessarily blame their mom. Maybe they just found out that they did a DNA test or something like that, or they did 23andMe and got a big shock back. But whatever happened, this is my child. I couldn't be more proud, and I love them unconditionally, and I want to help, in any way that I can move forward. Like, it wasn't that. It was like, I don't know who the fuck that is. I don't know who the fuck she is. It's your kids, DNA. I don't give a shit. Like, that was the response. The response was like, fuck off. Every time. It just got worse. What are you talking about? He was one of the worst Senate candidates in American history. Period. End of story. And he was running against a reverend.
Well, we have now in the Senate a plan for Republicans to help Chuck Schumer with massive spending package. They're doing nothing to stop it. What about the candidate quality of these current senators who don't care about their base, who don't care about the direction of the country?
Yes, I think you should attack them, not physically, but I suggest is I think the Federalists should write a series of articles about every sitting Republican senator and how they are absolute shit and no one should vote for them. And to vote for them, you might as well vote for a Democrat. You think she's buying it? I think it'll work. pretty sure.
And are more than happy to work with Democrats than wait.
Always.
Yes,
always. Now, I want to play this.
Then wait what? More than happy to work with Democrats, then wait. Wait for what? You guys to reclaim the Senate? Maybe? How long will the voters in those states wait? So you just as senators, your job is to be a roadblock on everything, not find common ground in a democracy. Your whole fucking gig is just to be a goddamn speed bump. How's the Federalists not fucking embarrassed by this? I mean, I know it's a shit rag, but that's just ridiculous. What voter, what are they? And by the way, none of them are going to do it. None of them even would, fuck, if Walker was in there, he wouldn't stiff arm federal funds for highways or infrastructure or fucking broadband or defense spending or healthcare or any of that shit. So the idea that he wouldn't do that, he wouldn't work across it until we had a majority, we could shove it right down there. That kind of mentality is absurd. It's fucking absurd. because all of these Republicans are taking credit for stuff from the infrastructure bill that they fucking voted against. It's just stupid. This is hilarious. Like the lack of self-awareness and irony is incredible.
This moment from last night with Kevin McCarthy on the show. He had a piece of advice for Mitch McConnell. We give enormous credit.
By the way, I think Mitch McConnell still has his job. Let's see if Kevin can keep his.
By the way, for all the judicial nominees he's pushed through for all the years, huge credit for that. But
not. And again, you fuckers wouldn't have the SCOTUS wins without Mitch McConnell. I can't stand the fucking dude, but he's been eminently more successful than anybody else in the Republican Party at getting what you guys fucking want, including Trump. Nothing Trump did lasted. And the wall itself, because of the access roads that had to be made to create the wall, it's easier to get across the southern border than before the wall existed. Like, everything Trump touches dies. It's garbage. Like, these assholes owe so much to Mitch McConnell for just getting anything, which is like the SCOTUS wins that they've been getting are horrifying and awful. But you can't argue that that's what they've been fighting for a long time. And Mitch McConnell's the reason they got it. He got Gorsuch on. He basically stole 3 seats.
It comes to this omnibus issue. Watch this.
We're 28 days away from Republicans having the gavel. We would be stronger in every negotiation. So any Republican that's out there trying to work with them is wrong.
So that
why
includes
wouldn't you
Mitch
wait with the
McConnell?
hand
Does that
stronger?
include McConnell?
Yes. Why would you want to work on anything?
Look how his eyes are closing and holding for a while, because he knows he has to pass it anyways. Again, this is a lie too.
If we have the gavel inside Congress.
You just
see how his eyes are closing and just holding inside Congress. He knows he's full of shit. He knows they have to pass the omnibus. He's not gonna strangle. He doesn't have the votes to stop it in the House. They have to bring it to a vote. McCarthy is not going to stop it from being brought to a vote by himself. And he doesn't have the votes himself, even when they take control, to stop it from being passed. Because there's too many Republicans that will sign off on it.
Have a stronger. Yes, wait till we're in charge.
In the Hill today, all these unnamed sources among the Senate senior leadership and friends of the minority leader.
You know, people Laura knows personally.
Well, we didn't think Kevin McCarthy was going to be able to get anything through. So they never...
He's not. He's not going to be able to get anything through. If this majority lasts 3 months, it'll be a fucking miracle.
Go on the record, they never defend the merits of their position.
They don't have one, dummy.
It's always unnamed sources. They never give real interviews about why this omnibus is the right way to go.
Why don't you explain why it isn't? Instead of just calling it an omnibus and decrying spending. Oh, because you'll have to bring up the fact that the Biden administration is cutting the deficit and the debt. Oh.
Never will hear from them.
The true leakers in Washington. I thought your interview with Leader McCarthy was masterful last night.
It was masterful. We learned so much, and yet saw so little.
And I thought his answer was perfect.
Yes, it's a perfect answer to an imperfect question. And I blame you, Laura.
Basically, they've been waiting for 4 years to get the majority back. You can wait another month, everybody. You waited 4 years, you could wait 4 weeks. And his whole point was, wait for us because we actually are going to be in the majority in the House. And Laura...
Yeah, but not by a large enough number to get anything fucking passed. And he's not even sure he's going to be leader.
They have no room for excuses and no reason to not work on the border, energy, economy.
They don't want it.
President of the United States.
No, they don't want it. The Republicans don't want to. Fuckers.
Yeah, but Kevin
They don't
does.
want to. No, Kevin does.
Oh, you mean absolutely. But he invited Joe Biden to the border That's not a stunt. Joe Biden knows what's going on at the border. He doesn't care. He has been to Delaware 174 days. He's been to the border 0 days, including today. I mean, think about this.
What's he going to do? Spot a hole nobody else saw? Go down there and micromanage? Do a big, we're standing here in front of the slat fence. The Republicans are going to hold up the omnibus bill, and it will be all the immigration and southern border funding. Fuck out of here.
74 to nothing. That's a fact, everybody. So, and we know fentanyl is the #1 killer and the rest of it.
And the rest of it. And just, the talking points.
So I think telling Mitch McConnell, especially after tonight, when you clearly don't even have a 50-50 Senate. I mean, it's like, just wait for us over here in the House.
What does it say for 2024? If this is what the Republican voters see, what does that tell them?
Yeah. I mean, why would you even vote for these assholes? Honest to God, like, is this not gorgeous? This whole thing is just, it's like a sunset with a big smiley face in the middle of the sun and daffodils, and the whole thing smells like peach and lavender.
Going into 2024 with all.
Yeah, it's almost like the Republicans are an army of fuck-ups that don't actually want to do anything.
We have a lot of great Senate races coming up in our favor. Is this the way to build that new coalition?
Nope.
Of Hispanics?
By the way, in your favor. You're not going to turn any over. You just know you have a lot of safe seats coming up next time.
This?
I can't imagine how demoralizing this is.
I can't imagine how demoralizing this is. Because, Laura, frankly, I'm a barnacle. I pretend to give a shit about Republican issues and Republican voters and this kind of stuff because it's my job. I work at the Federalist. And what I do, though, is I'm part of the chattering class, which you decry all the time. And yet I'm glad to be a paid regular here on the show. And it's just the whole thing is very, I wish I gave a shit, but then I'm kind of glad I don't.
It does also get back to these policy issues, like if you provide any resistance to what's happening with Democrat control of the Senate, if you work with the new Republican majority in Congress, you can actually generate excitement and enthusiasm.
Why? You're going to run on Party of No again?
For 2 years from now. When you see when Democrats take over, they come up with like really extreme policy proposals, like packing the Supreme Court, ending the filibuster. It's not even the...
By the way, both of those things that weren't sought, but she has to bring those things up specifically. I mean, obviously, Biden did a committee to see what it would take to get us to 13 because we have 13 circuits, and that would be better. But believe me, the demonic aspect of like they're doing it like a coven, like okay, Jesus and the 12 apostles. What does that add up to? Anyways.
These things are going to happen, but it's a way of like moving things in their direction. They act bold no matter how small their majority. Republicans, on the other hand, seem to just accept defeat even when they have won. Yeah,
I don't know why you wouldn't want them in charge of the most powerful and economically prosperous country on the whole fucking planet. I'm not feeling as a obviously my feet are in concrete as far as my voting future in a lot of ways. But I'm certainly not hearing a sales pitch on Republicans coming from this lady. Honestly, this is it. This is them like, we need to convince voters that they should vote for us. And the way to do that is to make sure nothing gets done.
They are worried about pushing anything, and then it has electoral consequences.
Well, the good news is we are increasing among these key groups, Hispanics indisputably, African Americans, Asian Americans, suburban white women came through for Republicans. We won the national vote, but we really ran up the totals in some of these rural districts. Instead of winning with 52, we won with 60.
Got to win the 61. Cities. We got to make
Got to win the cities. And look, but we won in Oregon.
Yeah, we won the places where we're already where small communities make percentages look bigger.
In Virginia, New Jersey, New York.
There's good news in the House,
seats,
no doubt.
So we have to build on those coalitions. But Laura, I hate to say we have to invest in the non-sexy parts of politics. The ballot access, you got to bank those early votes. Why are we taking a chance Grandpa can get out of the bathroom that day, let alone the House to vote? Get his vote a month in advance.
Early voting.
By the way, that's why Mike Pillow is almost singularly to blame for how shitty this went for you assholes.
Why are we waiting for that?
Him and Trump.
Molly, your reaction to the Matt Taibbi Twitter stream on what was going on with big tech and this election.
So
yeah, like the part where they say that the Trump administration, which was the sitting administration of the United States, asked for the exact same kind of things that the Biden campaign, a private incorporated campaign of someone not in power, they asked for the same thing from them. And somehow the political pressure and the censorship came from the private side of the argument, not the government side. What?
So just amazing.
Jim Baker and the Jim Baker angle, obviously, at Twitter.
So James Baker was at the FBI. He was implicated in the Russia collusion hoax. He left as they were investigating some of the leaks that were happening there. He gets hired at Twitter, and we learned today that he was meddling in the dissemination of these explosive communications.
Yeah, he was meddling in them because apparently his meddling wasn't for shit, because in vetting those documents, they released Jack Dorsey's private email address.
About how Twitter meddled in the 2020 election.
They didn't meddle in the 2020 election.
By suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop.
That didn't meddle in the election. Again, this is like blaming the consultants. If your only argument for you running for office is that the guy you're campaigning against son was an addict for a while, piss off.
Top story, and it's just amazing because he was supposed to be a general counsel for Twitter, and yet he was actively working against Twitter and apparently on behalf of himself and the FBI.
Yes, he was covering his own emails to get his own dick pics taken down.
This is the type of thing that could lead to disbarment.
No, it isn't.
And it is, I sort of say,
gibberish.
Okay, Elon Musk got rid of James Baker, which is more than most Republicans did in the entire Russia collusion hoax.
That's right.
If they could only run Elon Musk for president, they would.
Bingo. Ladies, couldn't think of two better people to have on tonight. Thank you.
Well, obviously, because and I think that's a failure of your brain and not a congratulatory moment. And by the way, the sort of pity body language that's happening here, this is not like, you ever see when, like, on election night where, like, Rachel and Joy and everybody have their hands out, like Nicole Wallace, like their hands are out on the desk and there's paper and they're just kind of moving around, and then you can tell when there's just like, yeah, fuck, like this business. Yeah, it's just very telling.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
Great. Hey, Sean. Laura Ingraham thinks you're a fuck up. Anyways, you're watching SPARKS Mega Worldwide. That's the clip they posted. I didn't pick that one up. I didn't pick that out of nowhere. By the way, we do have some good news. Hold on one second. I've got to slide this back. Let's see if I can bring this back. Yeah. We have some good-ish news. Sure, I think it's good news. I do think it's good news. I really do. Diamond does not have COVID. She was not hospitalized with COVID. She might have been hospitalized with the flu. But here it is. Fake news, Diamond was not hospitalized for COVID. Notice they didn't say hospitalized, like was not hospitalized. She was just not hospitalized for COVID. So let's hear the story. It's only a couple minutes long. We want to know what happened. We're glad she's alive and as well, intellectually, spiritually, and physically as she can possibly be.
A few days ago, there was a salacious headline that was really slander.
A salacious and slanderous. Why? You do realize getting COVID is not an attack on your character, right?
Put out on Diamond and Silk.
That's right.
And let me read to you what the headline said.
Okay.
All right, here it comes. Salacious and slanderous and slimy and salamander.
It said, mega supporter Diamond of
MAGA supporter? MAGA or MAGA?
Diamond and Silk has been hospitalized due to COVID. This was and still is a complete and utter lie. So if you going up and down our feeds, trying to enlighten anybody, and you saying this, what you are doing is spreading misinformation. You are spreading a lie.
Okay, by the way, it is standard when decrying a headline that you believe is slanderous, to show the source of said thing instead of just somebody tweeted it, or that it became, you know, and I don't think anybody was like, oh, she got COVID, there you go. And we all were like, I hope she ends up on a ventilator, face down on it. Like, nobody cares. Everybody was like, I hope you don't die.
That's right.
Diamond and Silk was slandered in the...
What? Leave Silk out of this. No one accused her of having anything short of, you know, a fairly bad diet.
Media. This is what they do. This is what the left do. They accuse everybody on the right of misinformation and being conspiracy theorists. And what they do the same thing that they accuse others do. So right. I want to go ahead on and...
Well, okay, but were you in the hospital for anything? Where were you? What? I mean...
Make it plain so that you won't be in your head or assuming. Because when you assume, you make an ass out of yourself.
Well, no, you make an ass out of you and me is the... Never mind.
Because you ain't making it out of me.
That's right.
Well, that's how the phrase works, though. Just saying. Never mind.
Right. Stop believing everything, these headlines. If Diamond and Silk, if something like that happened, you're going to be the first one to know.
Well...
We will gladly post it on our own platform.
I see. So it was a matter of, like, just being able to get the news out right. This is like a TMZ jump in the story.
That's right.
Nobody will have to assume nothing.
No, never. We'd never assume that you sounded like shit for days, you had a cough and a weird scratchy throat, and then you ended up disappearing for a few days, and nobody was saying anything. That's our bad.
Make up nothing.
But this is clearly slander.
No, it isn't. Nobody said you got COVID because you're a slut. Like, what's slanderous about people assuming that you might have COVID?
Now, I see what some is trying to clean it up and take it down. It's too late.
It's too
because
late.
the damage has already been done.
That's right.
And I don't want you to get caught up in the damage. It was a complete lie.
Yep.
They know it was a lie. They were told it was a lie.
Posted that it was
they
a lie.
doubled down on the lie.
That's right.
Now they got to suffer the consequences for their lie.
Well, nobody's going to go to... Like, you can't slander somebody who's like, yeah, I think she's in the hospital with the flu. I heard she's in the hospital with the flu. I heard she had chickenpox. Nobody gives a fuck.
Because it was slander.
No, it wasn't slander. It's not a moral attack to say somebody has a disease. It's actually... Now that you bring it up, Diamond and Silk, it's sort of there's a slanderous implication from what you're saying that somehow that people who did end up in the hospital with COVID are somehow bad people. Because if you're offended by the idea that you could have been or would have been, then you're saying that those people. So Diamond and Silk are slandering anyone with COVID. Nice work. Nice work.
That's right.
So I don't want y'all getting caught up in no clickbaits and no headlines. You hear it from the horse's mouth.
That's right.
It was a lie.
The more you all continue to go along with it and spread it, what you're doing is spreading
COVID or, spreading
misinformation. Right. You're spreading lies and you're being complicit with what the left have done to us.
So where the fuck was she? Hold on. Now I gotta look this up. Son of a dog doodle. Come on now. All right, top tags. Clicking on, come on, tags. Of course it doesn't work. Let's see. This is that's a video. Hold on one second. Clicking on, all right. How long is that one? Okay, so that one's 208. Same one. All right. Okay, so that's a top video, and then showing the hit piece on Michelle Smith. Okay. Dr. Sully's spike protein can spread to the unvaxxed. How spike proteins poison your body. God created men to be masculine. This is I'm trying to find, this CDC is not looking out for children. Hiding the LGBT agenda behind the freedom of speech. Diamond and Hook Chit Chat live, joined by Paul Manafort. Classy. Roland Martin says black people need to support illegal immigration to stop Republicans. Paul Kremer discussed complaint against Raphael Warnock's church and rental properties. First, okay. Yeah, so she was gone, like, that's October 21st, October 25th. October 25th to, there's November 4th, November 10th, and then December 7th. So she's been gone basically since, in these videos anyways, since, they post clips and they're irregular, I suppose. But November 10th is like the last time we saw that, and then the video is up twice. So I guess it's the same thing we watched or whatever. I don't know why there's where's their whole fucking show? I guess I might be looking at Frank clips. It's so hard to tell these days. Let's see. Let me try this real quick. I know nobody gives a shit but me, but it's nobody's fault but mine. Nobody's fault but mine. Diamond does not have COVID. That should find it, I would think. Let's see. And Silk. Clerks came out on YouTube that Trump defends Diamond Silk despite their coronavirus stuff. Let's see. News. Nope. Shit. I don't like that's as far as I'm willing to go looking for their defense of the fact that she didn't have COVID. They're not saying what she did have or where she was. Oh, hey, look, it's this asshole. By the way, notice he's wearing a shirt that says 45th and 47th, meaning that his dad is going to win the second time. And this is it's not a corner in New York City where if you walk down it, you'll get hit by a baseball bat wrapped in an American flag. Or I guess a Blue Lives Matter flag if you're a police officer. Watch. The media ignores Hunter Biden Twitter bombshells because, of course. Guys.
Well, guys, amazing stuff.
Well, guys, amazing stuff. I'm fucked up, guys.
Apparently, the Hunter Biden laptop
doesn't exist. Doesn't exist.
It's an issue. It's old news.
Well, it's a myth. It's old news like the Kraken, and I don't mean the Sidney Powell one. I mean the one from Clash of the Titans, which is a really fun movie and great work by Ray Harryhausen. I'm just saying, the original.
That's according to the White House press secretary and basically everyone else in the media and the press corps.
And it makes my beard hurt. And Hal Sparks, who, but for some rando Twitter heads, no one has successfully added me about any of this shit. How do we jumpstart this? Because it's such a stupid story.
It's old news, guys, because they want it to be.
No, because it didn't pan out so many times, and nobody gives a shit.
You wouldn't think that it would be old news to find that people in the government colluding with big tech to suppress a story to get a result.
Your dad was in government, dumb fuck. Your dad did the same thing, and he was president at the time. The Biden campaign was just that, a campaign, dipshit.
That they got. You wouldn't think that'd be old news.
Yeah, I would. I do think it's a matter because your dad fucking lost 2 years ago.
You would think that if it was the other...
Would I? Would I, though? Would I?
Other way, that'd be an assault on democracy, right? Just like Hakeem Jeffries can become the top Democrat in the House. And even though he's an election denier, you don't hear anything about that. Because if you deny elections where Republicans win, that's obviously acceptable. So this proves a major point.
Well, yeah, you got... And by the way, what he's referencing, of course, is like the denial of voting machines in predominantly black districts in the past and things like that, or the attempts by Republicans all over the country to stifle the black vote through a myriad of stop gaps that they can, install, or to overtake the will of the people by installing their own electors and that kind of stuff. That's very different from saying it was rigged and stolen and I'm still president. Burn the Constitution, put me back in there, turn those machines back on, sell.
Of what I've been making as of late, it's good that we see the Twitter information now, I guess.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar Run that by me again. What was it?
Jeffries can become the top Democrat in the House, and even though he's an election denier, you don't hear anything about that because if you deny elections where Republicans win, that's obviously acceptable. So this proves a major point of what I've been making as of late. It's good that we see the Twitter information.
It is good that we see the Twigger information. Now, for those of you that don't know, there's a bad Twitter copycat for Roy Rogers fans.
Now, I guess, even if it's
Twigger, it's for people. It's Elmer Fudd and Roy Rogers fans have gotten together.
Old news, and even if they got the result that they want, at least people can start to see how biased these things are, right?
Yeah, the things are biased. You can see how these things are biased and what he's been saying, and he said these things, and so they've been said, so I don't understand Twigger.
Do you really think at this point that there's any difference whatsoever between what was happening at Twitter and what happens every day at MSNBC?
Well, sure. I mean, arguably, MSNBC has an editorial board, and they are specifically crafting stories, and Twitter is responding to a myriad of things. Like, there's a very small chance that random users in, I don't know, Tennessee or the Philippines or Mexico could post pictures of children for sale, for example, and MSNBC has to have an entire group of people who has to watch channels all day long and bat that shit down. It just doesn't come up.
Or CBS or ABC News.
Well, obviously not CBS. Probably ABC. It's a Disney thing, probably.
Or any of them.
Any of them. Fox, OAN, Newsmax. Sorry. Right, we were talking about real networks. That's my bad.
Do you think it's any less biased there? No, they just get to hide under the cloak of, we're doing journalism.
They are doing journalism, stupid. Those are news organizations. Specifically, the social media groups don't do journalism. They have to have some sort of terms of service and some way to enforce that. But they didn't, by the way, none of them crafted the story. None of them, because we've had stories in the past of, at like CNN and other places where, or newspapers where pharmaceutical companies have helped craft the actual language in a story, pro or con one of their treatments, pro or con one of their business deals. And that's been a scandal. Twitter might, stiff arm some stuff because they don't know quite how to handle it because it was obviously fake. And it was an October surprise, and you guys are just pissed that your October surprise was the worst October surprise ever.
We won't.
Sorry, is my cursor in the way? Is it bothering people with a little yellow arrow? Beg your pardon. But yeah, there's a singular difference.
Cover the biggest story. We won't cover that like 30 or 50 of the biggest intelligence people in the world
recognized a Russian hoax when they saw one and totally shot a hole in Rudy Giuliani's collusion dinghy.
All signed on to a letter like, yeah, this is obviously Russian disinformation, when it clearly wasn't.
No, it clearly was.
When our
clearly still is.
Director of national intelligence,
Sorry, of who?
World. All signed on to a letter like, yeah, this is obviously Russian disinformation, when it clearly wasn't. When our director of national intelligence, came
our director of national intelligence
out and said, John Ratcliffe literally came out and said, there's nothing here that says this would be Russian disinformation. Doesn't matter. We're here to deliver a message, and we're going to get what we want out there. And when we,
well, maybe you know what, guys, maybe it's just that you suck. Maybe your dad isn't the media mastermind everybody thought he was. Maybe that's what this boils down to. That is this mythology about Trump as a master businessman and a master manipulator of the media, and the idea, it turns out actually that he was just he was like shit surfing on the back of, he was boogie boarding on idiots and gullible fucks in the New York media system for a long time because they didn't really give a shit. And then when they had to take a hard look, it was hard to shake that habit. And then some of them looked and were crossing paths with the I didn't really give a shit crowd, and that's what jumbled the messaging that even allowed him to be president in the first fucking place.
Find out and get caught. Doesn't matter because we got what we wanted. Therefore, it's old news.
It is old news. Yeah, that is true.
Again, it wouldn't be old news if Trump did this to Biden or...
Well, no, it would be amazing because he would have had to craft something like this, and he's totally incapable of doing it, and he wouldn't have convinced anybody, oh wait, he did do this to Biden, and it still didn't work. That explains it.
If Bush did this to Obama, it would be a huge scandal.
Right. Because Obama in this scenario, I suppose, is not guilty of anything, and Bush would have had no reason to do it. And also kinder, gentler times.
People in government, people as part of campaigns, people who then assume positions, colluding with big tech to influence election. That would be problematic, right? That would be a threat to democracy.
Not really.
In the meantime,
again, this is like the consultant argument that Kellyanne Conway was making. Like, at a certain point, isn't it your dad's election to lose?
President says that the 75 million or so Americans that voted for Donald Trump, they're the biggest threat to freedom and democracy, right?
No. And again, this is the whole lump the maggots and the deplorables in with all Republican voters, and that the idea is that, it's next stop FEMA camp.
I'll say that on a public stage, but the people who did that...
By the way, he didn't say that on a public stage. As a matter of fact, he said quite the opposite. He said there's normal Republicans, which are the majority of them, which may or may not even be true at this point, depending on who's you believe have left the party. But he might still be talking to Republicans who now call themselves independents because they're so fucking embarrassed by this guy's dad. That lump works for me. It may not work for him, but it doesn't matter. He wants MAGA to mean the whole party. That's what this is about. MAGA is is drifting away from any meaning at all. His father is losing control. The maggots are dwindling down into a little QAnon puff. And they're being left behind by everybody else who can't stiff-arm Trump fast enough. So this whole thing is no. MAGA is the Republican Party. The Republican Party is MAGA. And by the way, that was the entire purpose of Biden's red speech, was to keep Trump from being, the Republican Party from being able to distance themselves from Trump right before the midterms. Besides the fact that he had to address the violence that had just happened against Paul Pelosi, the reason for doing it in that fashion was that he knew Trump would take the bait and jump right in and go, no, they are me and I am them. You like that freeze frame?
At Twitter or with Twitter, old news.
With Twigger.
But that's the point, guys.
What is the point? Please get to the point. I don't know what the point is. It's 2 minutes and 42 seconds into this piece of shit video. I'm tired. I was driving. I was singing late last night. Got up, did a show, got in my car, drove as fast as I could to get here, and I'm still not convinced. Sell it, big boy.
It's not just Twitter.
Oh, thank God.
I'm glad
it's MySpace.
People are finally seeing it.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Glad they can't hide from it, though they will try, as they have, to pretend the story doesn't exist, to suppress the story, to make sure people don't realize just how corrupted and pathetic these institutions are.
Well, now that Elon's taken it over, sure.
But hopefully everyone will see it. Hopefully people...
Guys, don't let it happen. Can't do this. We've got to change this. Don't let it happen. End of video. My little timer's going off. I'm looking at my notes. Don't let it happen. Also, thanks to everybody who gave me the big prostate massager insertable that is up there on the mantle. Believe me, it gets way too much use.
People will stop trusting these people because until we do that...
You mean your dad?
We don't actually have a chance of ever getting to the truth because, again, they can do these things and ultimately they're rewarded with a win. They get what they want. They get a slap on the wrist 2 years later a little bit. It barely gets any coverage and they go back to doing the same thing over and again.
Over and again. Yeah. Don't let it happen. Gotta watch it. Let it happen.
Let it happen.
Yeah, there we go. I don't know what the fuck this, don't let it happen thing. He ends most of these videos this way. And I gotta say, if he wasn't such a complete wimp, this would strike me as a call to violence. Because what else is it but to say to like your most hardcore maggots and the QAnons who are looking for, to decode every fucking statement when you say don't let it happen? Well, what's your fucking option here? You're going to lose in court. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It's a sucker's game they played over and fucking over again. But ultimately, the end of it, he always ends with "Don't let it happen," which sounds like, a super subtle take up arms bullshit. I mean, like if he only did it occasionally, it'd be one thing. But it's like and it might just be a verbal tick because he's a fucking moron. There's always that chance. And Occam's rubber mallet suggests that this dumbass just thinks it sounds like a leadership phrase to him. Unfortunately, to a bunch of these dipshits, it's going to sound like get your AR. And like I said, there's not going to be a civil war. It's not going to be a mass of people. But the occasional asshole that pops off and hurts somebody from any of this shit, it's going to be phrases like that.
We got to stop it, guys.
Hey,
don't let it happen. We gotta stop it, guys. That's the whole thing. By the way, he posted that. I didn't. You're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. Now, Hunter, Don Jr. isn't the only person jealous of all the ass, cash, and grass that and crack, I suppose. Ass crack and that didn't sound right. That Hunter Biden's getting. He's not the only one that's jealous. Other people are too. And the folks on the 5 now, sometimes you gotta do damage control because the news gets out and the deeper they dig is everything, there's a lot of be careful what you wish for in this stuff. And on, I think this is on the 5, Tucker Carlson exposes, past interactions with Hunter Biden. I knew him really well. I had no idea that Hunter Biden's drug use was that bad. Is that what crack does to you? It makes, I knew it destroyed families and rotted your teeth and could, trigger psychotic episodes, but makes you hang out with Tucker Carlson? That's too much. It's just too much.
New controversy swirling around the Biden family after Elon Musk released internal Twitter files on the company's suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story.
And again, Hunter Biden laptop story. Notice that they're not. None of them are saying the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop because it doesn't fucking exist. The fuck? Play. Biden Inc. Oh, because he's going to do an episode of this. Hold on one second. It's jacking up.
All right, new controversy swirling around the Biden family after Elon Musk released internal Twitter files on the company.
Tucker Carlson Originals.
The suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Ass Sweat by Tucker.
Tucker Carlson digging deep into this and the family's finances in a brand new Tucker Carlson Originals, Biden Inc.
By the way, it's going to be the same 10% for the big guy story. It's going to be the same iMessage bubbles about, I don't get any respect in this family. I pay for everything. That shit.
One is streaming now on Fox Nation. Here's a little
very exciting
preview.
Schweitzer and his team had a breakthrough when they got access to a copy of Hunter Biden's laptop.
No, they didn't. When they got access to a hard drive that Rudy Giuliani purchased from Russians in Ukraine.
We took the laptop and we actually compared it to publicly known sources of information. The Secret Service had released Hunter Biden's Secret Service travel records at the request of the U.S. Senate. So we took the laptop.
No, it never. By the way, took the hard drive. Let's keep it honest here.
Of trips and travel, compared it to the Secret Service travel logs. They lined up completely.
That's not hard. Are you telling me the Russians couldn't get his fucking calendar or know where he was? It was publicized.
100%. It was impossible that the laptop was fake.
No, it isn't. And by the way, adding files and throwing stuff together, hacking a phone or hacking files at Burisma and then adding your own shit to it and then putting it all on a hard drive is super fucking easy, especially when you've got gullible fucks like this peddling it as well. It had to be all together. It had to all belong together from one source. That's the lie that's happening.
We identified 4 businessmen in the laptop.
Yes, you could see them. One of them's a woman, but sure.
All 4 of those businessmen have links to the highest levels of Chinese intelligence.
So there's a preview for you and Tucker.
Uh-huh. Do they have links? I got news for you, fucko. Trump's MAGA hats are made by somebody who has links to the highest levels of Chinese intelligence.
Joins us now on the 5. It's good to have you. There's lots of questions here, so I'm going to kick it around the table. We'll start with Greg for a question for Tucker.
All right, I was going to ask you what's
on
your originals that's not on Fox, but I'm more interested in the fact that you've lived in D.C. for a long time. You had lived there. You ran into Hunter. You must have had some not relationship, but some kind of interactions with him. How would you care?
Okay, they're getting out in front of the fact that Hunter, in the emails, there are emails from Tucker Carlson asking Hunter Biden to help him get his kid into a prestigious school.
Characterize him in your
and what Greg is saying is like, you guys ran into each other at dinners because circles and people in D.C. and no, motherfucker, he asked him specifically for help.
Capacity. Well, I knew him really well.
So look at Greg. Huh? See, I told you. Like, who the fuck is he looking at? And also, why wouldn't Tucker Carlson be in the same studio with? Oh, it's because it's Greg.
I always liked him. I mean, he's my neighbor and friend, and had dinner with him a bunch. I mean,
look at Greg. Like, who else is on the fucking panel that didn't know this shit? Where they got in a fight with Greg Gutfeld in the fucking green room going, that's bullshit. Tucker doesn't know Hunter Biden. What the fuck are you talking about?
I knew him. We talked a lot about drinking. I don't drink. He was struggling with that. But in the background, I knew people.
Yeah, even Greg is confused by just maybe, I don't know. That's unfair. Maybe Tucker's brow is contagious.
People who worked with him in his business, that he was effectively selling access to his dad.
Yeah.
And I'll just be totally honest about it. I never really thought about it because I lived in D.C. for 35 years where people sell access to government officials.
Hold on one second. Run that by me again.
Access. I knew people who worked with him in his business that he was effectively selling access.
Effectively. He was effectively selling. Specifically, would you like to tell us specifically? Or is it just his last name?
Access to his dad.
Yeah.
And I'll just be totally honest about it. I never really thought about it because I lived in...
Because it never came up and it wasn't a thing.
D.C. for 35 years where...
And why would anybody want access to Joe Biden at that point?
People sell access.
Because everybody was like, he's vice president for Obama, but he's too old to do anything else and he's going to do the cancer moonshot after he leaves and, like, you know, run-of-the-mill government contracts. But they're... I mean, you know where the real money is. Trump Tower.
Access to government officials. They're called lobbyists. And that's kind of the business of the city. And I never really thought, wow, that's kind of a crime, though I knew, and I didn't know the extent of it, of course.
And you still don't.
But I remember someone who had worked with him saying to me, wow, he's getting really, really close to, you know, what you should not be doing because it's...
Oh, okay. Well, that's enough for me. He got really, really close to what you should not be doing by this person, which, insofar as I can infer from this, means he's not doing what you shouldn't be doing.
Criminal. And it turns out, based on what we know now from the laptop...
There is no laptop.
That it was absolutely criminal.
No, it was not.
And the reason we made this documentary was not to inform you that he was doing something wrong. Everyone knows that. It was...
No, actually, it's to imply that he's doing something wrong because that hard drive that you've been showing and the alleged laptop that it came from is completely inadmissible in every court that you could bring it up in. And if you brought it up at all and any of it led law enforcement to any other evidence, all that evidence would be thrown out because of a shit chain of custody. And you know that, and everybody knows that. So its only value is a PR attack.
Was to take a long-form piece and explain it and show on the screen exactly how we know this.
Okay, I'll be watching that.
It's not a partisan attack.
Yes, it is.
It's not attacking the president's son.
Yes, it is.
This guy shared a bank account with his dad while his dad was the vice president. His dad was bringing him on trips, including to China. He was doing business with the people he met on those.
That's debatable, by the way, the sharing of the bank account. I think that's in reference to the charity or the office, that kind of storyline. It's not the same thing.
Government trip.
Or shared, the idea is that he shared access, buying shutters for the lake house.
And kicking back the money to his.
And again, if you continue to show us pictures of him smoking crack or smoking in the fucking bathtub, nobody cares. That's not the crime. Nobody gives a shit about that. As a matter of fact, the more they show that stuff, the more it points to the fact that the story is shit, or that they don't think that the Fox viewers are going to believe any of the financial stuff, or that there's no there where you could show spreadsheets and emails and go, look, here's where the money went. Here's how we know. Here's his taxes. You can see where this payment came in. But they have Biden's taxes. They know the only property he owns. They know exactly what property Hunter Biden owns. He's cooperating with the IRS. So any of the stuff, there's no there where they could hide millions of dollars. Meanwhile, we just found out that Trump paid off a debt to Daewoo while he was president, and Daewoo is linked to the North Koreans.
His dad. That's not an allegation. That is shown on the laptop, which is why they suppressed it.
And no, it wasn't. You've never seen the laptop? No one has. Oh, look, it's a laptop. Oh, it's that guy's laptop.
Mm-hmm. Judge, do you have a question for Tucker?
Yeah, Judge, ask him a question.
Tucker, the frustrating part of all of this,
is that having been a judge, I know that none of this shit will go anywhere in a court of law. And the more you show it, the worse it gets.
I'm just curious as to where you think this all goes.
Nowhere.
The First Amendment is being poo-pooed.
I beg your pardon. Please do not quote Nancy Pelosi on the 5.
Now that this it's out there, and Elon...
we're talking about, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were talking about Hunter Biden's penis.
Musk has disclosed it through Matt Taibbi. They're like, oh, this is old news. This is no big deal. I mean, where is this country going with...
Yeah, they're saying it's old news. And so... Tucker, does that make you old news? Does that make this special a complete waste of fucking time? Isn't this just a rehash of the same shit we've seen for 2 fucking years that nobody else buys either? And you just got a guy sitting there going, there couldn't be, I don't know how anybody could put this many files together. You'd have to have an entire government working on it. Yeah, no shit, asshole.
Respect to the First Amendment when it's politically instigated. There was a presidential campaign that was instigating censorship.
Yeah, they can't censor a campaign. Can't censor anyone. They're a private entity. They can make requests, and the requests can be answered, I suppose, or denied. It's very different when Trump asked
against the American people.
They are the American people, fuckwad.
Well, of course. I mean,
Well, of course. You know this, and I know this, and everybody knows this. I don't know that. You don't think I know this? Of course I know this.
You're the judge, so you know much better than I. As a
legal
matter, private companies arguably have a right to do with it what they want with information. The government may not, under the Bill of Rights, in the First Amendment to the Bill of Rights, may not censor information.
Right. And the Biden campaign was not a government entity.
Political information in particular. And that's exactly...
No, not particular. All of it's bad, equally.
What you had here, we have seen evidence, proof of the fact that the FBI and then the Biden campaign and now the Biden administration pressured social media companies, Twitter in this case, to withhold relevant facts from the public on the...
What are relevant facts? Show one. I mean, I just saw a video of a shirtless Hunter Biden, I guess, filming himself on his laptop, and debate footage from Biden. You've got all this room. You've got a whole half a fucking screen. Show the relevant information. 5. You're 4 minutes in. 4 minutes fucking in to the fact that they're going to do this special. What have we seen? The exact same shit we always see.
The basis of which people might cast their votes. So if that's not an attack on democracy, I don't know how we're defining attack on democracy.
Well, we're defining it by the people who crafted the hard drive from both hack materials and fake materials, slapped them together, sold them to Rudy Giuliani, and then he brought them back to the United States, and they concocted this scheme to first drop it off at Keith Ablow's house, and then he worked at Fox. He got busted doping and fucking his patients, so you had to come up with plan B. So you had some asshole go in, pour liquor all over himself, find the only Mac repair shop with a guy who can only see 6 inches in front of his face, say he was Hunter Biden, do a squiggly hand signature, drop off a couple of laptops with the stuff on it to get the guy to get it all out and mix it all together. But the first two were too fucked up, so he did it off the third one, and then it took him months to figure out what he was going to do with it. And then he gets his dad to call somebody at the FBI, and then the guys that show up from the FBI aren't real FBI agents, and tell him if you want the laptop back, call us and if he comes looking for it, call us and we'll bring it back, which is not something the fucking FBI ever does. And if they did, if the FBI, here's the thing. You find a computer with evidence of a crime on it. And the police come and you call the police and go, this is some fucked up shit. You guys need to come take this. I'm going to need a receipt for it so that I know it left my hands. I don't have any copies of it. It's all you. And then they call you a couple days later and ask you how to open it. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Don't you guys have a tech department? I'm not touching the fucking thing. You might just be entrapping me into saying that I put the stuff on there. I'm not going to tell you what the password is. I don't know what the fucking password is. It's because there wasn't anything on it. They didn't take it at all. It's a joke. But the idea that they said, if the guy comes to pick it up, you let us know and we'll bring it back to you. Stall him for 24 hours. If that happened, if the evidence left your hands, went into police custody, came back from police custody, back into your hands, and then back to the perpetrator, unbeknownst to them, without a warrant specifically for its seizure, all of it's inadmissible. Every fucking thing. Because at this point, the police could have just planted shit while it was in their care. You didn't bother to check it or vet it. If you gave it back to the other person, why the fuck would you? I mean, the whole argument it's embarrassing.
You can't have a democracy without the free flow of information. If I don't know the facts about the candidates, I can't vote for them in an informed way. I can't have a democracy. And they prevented the rest of us from knowing.
No, they prevented an October surprise that turned out to be complete shit from having any impact, and it wouldn't have.
Things. They did it in secret, and once again, they did it illegally in contravention of the First Amendment. It could not be clearer.
Sure it could, because they were out of power. They were not in power. One person asking another person to take down a nude picture of their kid in a fucking shop window is not a violation of your neighbor's rights to know that someone took revenge porn of your kid. If the government comes and says you have to take the art off your walls, that's the crime. When the Trump administration asked, that was the violation of the First Amendment. When the Biden campaign asked, they could have had a yes because it agreed with the request. The request met the terms of service because it was revenge porn and illegal nudes taken by someone and posted illegally, which is part of the normal terms of service of Twitter, right? Or they could have told him to go fucking pound sand. I'm sorry, public interest, who cares? Go away.
Geraldo.
Tucker, hi. So do you have an opinion on whether or not this information, had it been known, would have affected the...
Now everybody's going to say the 17% of Biden voters would have changed their mind. Horseshit.
Result of the election? And if you think it would have changed the result of the election, do you think that President Trump was onto something when he suggested that maybe we have to suspend all the rules and regulations, including the Constitution, because it was such a colossal fraud?
Well, one thing I learned, Geraldo, in the midterms 2 weeks ago is I'm really not good at predicting political outcomes at all. So I'm never doing that again, either looking ahead or retrospectively. I'm never going to tell you what might have happened or what may happen ever.
Right. Yeah, he will.
Ever again, because I'm bad at it. But I will say, as a matter of principle and law, you are not allowed to censor information.
They didn't censor information. A campaign is incapable of censoring information. They can't do it. The White House can. The Trump administration, when they asked for things to be taken down, for accounts to be shut down, for stuff to be scrubbed, that would have been a crime. And according to Elon Musk, there was equal requests from both sides. And the only difference was one was the sitting president's office and the other was a campaign. The campaign asking Twitter to do anything is not censorship because Twitter makes that decision, and they would suffer no consequences materially if they decided not to. If Twitter had decided, fuck it, we're just going to let anything on. If anybody wants to make deep fakes of Ivanka, we're just going to let them roll. And if somebody says they're real, we're not going to question it. We're just going to let everything be out there. The response, they would have had to some degree because of Section 230, they would have the right to kind of get away with it. We didn't. That's what they posted. We don't sign off on anything. But because it violates the terms of service against nudes and especially hacked material or people's pictures taken without their permission, specifically, which is why James Woods' case is dead in the fucking water. Because of those things, they have every right to go, yeah, okay, we're going to take that shit down. And the New York Post thing looks like, we have it on good authority that ultimately this is an October surprise, and it ultimately did not pan out. It's all garbage. It's bullshit. It's a mixture of hacked materials from a phone, hacked materials from the Burisma computers when they were there, some emails back and forth when Rosemont Seneca worked there, and some videos taken, like largely the videos and stuff were taken from the phone, and then that's it. And another, the idea is that there were some FaceTime videos that I don't know why they're recorded. That's the really interesting part. Where those came from, because those look like recorded by a second authority. Unless he was recording messages like I might die tonight kind of stuff, which in and of itself, another example of like addict behavior, why it's not necessary to even consider it as criminal behavior. It's just sad. And then all this stuff mixed together, and the fact that it's been shopped around by all these dickheads for a long time means it's useless in a court of law. Done.
And if you're
other than that, I have no opinion.
A government official, and you had the FBI meeting with Twitter and with Facebook, and
that's the Trump administration.
Lying.
Well, the lying part is the question.
Telling those two social media companies, likely Google too, that this laptop they believed was Russian. Well, they had the laptop, so
no, they didn't.
They knew, in point of fact, that it was not. They lied.
That's not true.
They're continuing to lie. In fact, the former general counsel of the FBI became the general counsel at Twitter, right. Jim Baker. We just learned about 25 minutes ago.
Yes, Elon Musk took over and didn't know that James Baker was their primary lawyer until a couple of days ago.
Was censoring, even on Friday, the release of internal Twitter documents. Elon Musk just fired him, an hour ago. But we have a problem with...
And by the way, no, he wasn't. He wasn't censoring anything. He works there. He's the lawyer. He was vetting stuff and going, you can't show that. That's private information. You're going to get in legal trouble. That's his fucking job. And by the way, now that he's been fired, there's a very strong chance that Twitter will release some shit that will ultimately get them in deep legal jeopardy.
With federal law enforcement, with the FBI.
Oh, yeah.
And we need to fix it.
Oh, yeah.
Jesse.
So the CIA and the FBI...
Yeah, and big tech and big woke corporations and Disney and George Soros and the Illuminati and the deep state.
Knows all about Biden Inc. And they've known about it for years.
No, it's a brand new documentary and they have no reason to watch it. It's the same recycled bullshit.
So why do you think the FBI and the CIA want Joe Biden to be president?
Because they're woke Democrats. That's the CIA and the FBI have always been that way.
That is such a deep question that I can't answer.
Because it's ridiculous.
Kinds of suspicions. It's obviously better to have someone you can control, and we've seen this with previous U.S. presidents, including Richard Nixon.
That's right. That they attacked Donald Trump because they couldn't control him. Even though, have you ever seen a president sign shit without ever looking at it more often than Donald Trump? Literally, the man was like a human rubber stamp. He prided himself on like, looky what I did. Anything they put in front of him, be like, it must be good if I'm signing it.
Tapes just came out showing this. here's what we do know. At the very same time that they have allowed Hunter Biden to skate on FARA violations, he was representing foreign governments. He didn't register under the Foreign Agent Registration Act, FARA. They're going after some of the most prominent Republicans in America. On FARA.
By the way, people that this asshole has called rhinos recently.
Them or indicting them. They threatened Rudy Giuliani, right?
Uh-huh. Why would that be? What group was Rudy Giuliani representing? What could the investigation into where he was traveling in Ukraine, Russia, Italy during that time, where the laptop hard drive from hell magically shows up in his possession?
They threatened Steve Wynn, one of the biggest Democratic donors.
Oh, yeah.
He's dead, though.
Just yesterday, they indicted David Rivera, a Republican office holder in Florida, on a FARA violation.
Oh, my God.
No one's ever been indicted under FARA in 60 years.
And yet, everybody who is Republican. Weird.
They haven't indicted Hunter Biden.
Because they don't have a case. And I got news for you, fucko. The hard drive / laptop from hell will never see the inside of a court of law. Useless. Fruit of the poison tree. No chain of custody. Eat shit. Sorry. Like, you guys all wanted to, like, even if you thought there was a smoking gun, all you motherfuckers wanted to lick it and fondle it and test fire it until it's fucking useless. And then you want to, like, we found the smoking gun, Your Honor. This is it, Your Honor. This is the one he used to murder the person. I'm just going to put it down the front of my pants and rub it around a little bit. This is the one. This is the one he used to murder. Well, it's not the one. And we made a copy of it. It's plastic. It's not actually the metal thing. And the serial number is different. And we had to replace the firing pin. Of course, the barrel is different. But this is, and we made a bunch of copies. Your Honor, here's a box. They're all slightly different, but basically the same. And but they're all made from the same material themselves. It's not the same material the actual gun was made from. But here, just look, Your Honor, Exhibit A. What do you mean, get the fuck out of my courtroom? What the hell? Don't you believe in freedom?
This whole laptop is one big FARA violation. How can they do that?
Because it's not a laptop and it doesn't exist. And like I said, even if any of it is real, you fucked up the chain of evidence, dummy.
This boggles the mind. You don't have to be a Republican or a Trump supporter or a conservative.
Yeah, you do. You really do.
You just have to be an American who wants equal treatment under the law to see this as really scary.
Yes, it would be really scary if people could make up evidence about you, create multiple copies of it, turn in copy of copy to other people, have it verified, passed to your rivals and people who hate you or people who want you dead, and filter it through a bunch of other things, and then try to have it admitted as evidence 3 generations away, where all the metadata has been wiped out, where all the original links to the emails and stuff are gone internally, where it's been copied so many times that there's no direct chain of the original source at all. If we lived in a country where that was admissible in court, everybody's fucked. Everybody.
All right, Tucker, thanks for giving us so much of your time, and we'll watch tonight.
He's got a lot of it left over.
And, of course, you can see Biden Inc. available on Fox Nation.
Yeah, nobody watches that. But thanks for boring us with the same old shit. I like, seriously, I'll cover every piece of this shit every time it comes up. But frankly, it's like boring at this point. Oh, Diamond and Silk disappeared on November 23rd, by the way. Thank you so much. Can't Stop Lying. Yeah, does she ever say, CSL, whether or not what Diamond ultimately had? That's what we need to find out. Did they say she had anything, or did she go? I mean, they're not even saying she went on vacation. They're just saying she wasn't hospitalized for COVID. But she sounded like she had a respiratory thing. That's why I think most people thought that. I don't doubt that she could, that both of them couldn't be hospitalized just with the fucking flu. Bad we quit. The babies are great. You guys want to? We're almost at the end of the show, and I could show you more, or I could show you Kittens. What do you want to see? Can we? Because I'm kind of exhausted. So we'll have a regular show tomorrow at 4 o'clock. The HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide will continue on then. I've got so many clips. There's no way I could cover all of it. But we did okay today. I at some point I got to do this MTG shit with her on Steve Bannon's fucking hilarious. But would you like to see some kittens? Let's see if they can handle it. They're very shy because they're new. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm going to let me put up my BRB. Behave yourself. Super chat to support the kitties if you want. And you don't have to. I'm just trying to. I keep trying to remember to reset, and I never fucking do it. Please subscribe if you're on Twitch. Help us get up over 1,000 again. I have a goal of 2,500. I know that's not going to happen, but anytime soon, it'll happen eventually. Believe me, hope springs eternal. Okay, I'll be right back. And we're back. And look at this little guy. Hello. We don't really have quite names yet. Hi. Ash. Huh? This one's Ash. We've settled on Ash for this one. We had Ash and Wednesday. Hi, silly. Ow. Climber.
Yeah. This one's really spooked, so the sounds are...
Okay. All right. You got it. You got it. You're a little hider. There you go. There you go. You're okay. Look at this sweet little one. Look at this sweet little one. This is Ash. And I wanted to call the other one Wednesday because it was darker. I'll show you Wednesday in a second. But it's a boy. So, Smoke? Yeah, so we like Ash and Smoke. Like Smokey probably will end up being what their name is.
He's scared, so...
Okay.
He's shaking.
All right.
Hold on.
Yeah, hi. Hi, you. Oh, yeah. Hi, you got it. Hi. You're Smokey. Little Smokey.
He's a sweetheart, though.
Yeah. This one's really sweet. She's a little scared. Hi. You're okay. This one hides a lot. Were they found in a tire? Yeah. So they're very social and they come out and play, but when we leave or we're not in the room, they just go and bury themselves under something. Don't you? Hi. So yeah, I know. It's almost like you match my shirt. You're totally safe. Yeah, hi. Oh, shaking. You're okay. It's going to be okay. You're okay. So these are our two new ones. They're very little, and they get their shots in 2 weeks, something like that? Tuesday. Oh, they get their shots Tuesday, and then they get fixed in 2 weeks, something like that. 3 weeks. I know.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Been gone a few days.
I have. I don't know what the news is. Yeah. So, these are our two current fosters, and whenever they get put someplace, they're going to go together. So, because they're bonded, we think. Yeah, you're okay. Should I give you this one? You can pick them both up, or do you want to? We'll both walk them up. Okay. We have to walk these back up. We can't hold them both together because it's going to be hard to hold on to them. Oh, it's a little shaky. Okay. I'll be right back. Ta-da! So I'm back. Hope you guys behaved yourself for the most part on the chat while I was upstairs. Yeah, that's Ash and Smokey, and yeah, they're super sweet. And they as soon as they were getting a little shaky, little kitty shivers, and then as soon as we got back up. They're staying in Camden's room, in my kid's room. And as soon as they got in his room, they're like, okay, this is our place. We're okay. We're going to be fine. So, yes, thanks. Set on Smoke, what about Dorian Gray? Oh, I see. Well, like I said, Ash and Wednesday worked really well until it was a boy. So, you never behave yourselves. Yeah, it's sort of true, Sarah. Anyways, you guys are wonderful. I'm going to let you go, and I will... be on tomorrow afternoon, and I'm going to try and get some rest and rest my throat as well. Let me get over here and ask the Russian Blue if he's got under Biden's laptop right. And to the chat room, thank you, Pot and Ash, right? Thanks so much. I appreciate you guys for all your support and for being here. And again, can we just enjoy the show a little bit over the next couple months? Because I know the doom sprayers are going to go crazy, but can we just enjoy the fact that they're going to chew the shit out of each other for a while? Oh, it's going to be good. Yeah, I'm going to go get some rest. Love you guys so much, and I will see you guys come the morning, okay? So until then, love you guys, and take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Okay, bye. Midas Touch, so give me a second. If you're on Twitch. Bye. And thank you, Karen, and thank you, Bob and Barbie. Thank you so much, and Luis. Thank you, Thomas Anna. Thank you, Ancient Pollyanna. Kitty Food. Thank you, Valerie. Thanks, Vincent. Thank you so much, Erica and Treva Joan. Thanks, Sean. Patricia, thank you. Caroline's in New York City is closing me. Oh, that's so sad. Well, it's when they stopped having me there. It's kind of doomed. Thank you, Becky. Crazy Insane Alien, thank you. Brian, thank you so much. Thank you, Lulu Girl. Thanks, everybody, for becoming members and subscribing. Don't forget to subscribe on Twitch. Okay, bye. Thanks a lot, Chris. Thumbs up on the way out the door, everybody.